Hey everyone, my name is Kelly Welsh. I am a renal dietitian for approximately 25 years, as well as the Ren-Nu Program coordinator. I have had PKD, been diagnosed for about 25 years, the same time.
I'm Thomas Weimbs. I'm a professor at the University of California in Santa Barbara in the Department of Molecular, Cellular, and Developmental Biology. My research lab has been focused on polycystic kidney disease for over 20 years. I'm also one of the founders at Santa Barbara Nutrients that makes product that's based off of the research we made in my lab.
Can you tell us a little bit about the KetoCitra research, kind of what led you to this product, what motivated you to start studying this and really putting it under a microscope and examining this?
Yeah, for sure. This all started out of our academic research at the university where, a little bit by chance, we made two key discoveries. One was finding out that the metabolic state of ketosis is actually very potent in stopping disease progression in animal models with PKD, so in mice and rats and even cats. And we found out that, you can put these animals into nutritional ketosis. You put them on a fasting regimen, for example, or on a ketogenic diet. But we found out that most of the benefits could actually be replicated by just simply administering the ketone beta hydroxybutyrate or BHB to these animals on top of just the regular rodent chow. So that was an unexpected finding. And the other finding had to do with these microcrystals. There was a whole nother research project where we found that these microcrystals that can form day in, day out in kidney tubules and eventually can go on to form calcium oxalate kidney stones, for example, that they are very damaging to the kidneys. And these microcrystals in animals that are predisposed to PKD and presumably in people that have the gene mutation, these crystals can start new cyst formation, which obviously you don't want. As a patient, you don't want new cysts. You want to have as few as possible. And there we found that the way to antagonize the damaging effects of the crystals is by just supplementing with what's called citric acid. So another very simple compound, citrate. And those are kind of the ingredients, if you will, that we combined and that became KetoCitra.
Talking about KetoCitra a little bit from your view. Now, we as dietitians, we understand how important it is and how complementary it is, especially to people going on a ketogenic journey. But there are still a lot of misnomers, and probably because it appears to be a supplement, right? And for so long, PKD patients have been told, don't take supplements without getting your doctor's or dietitian's approval. I guess from your view, what do you wish more people understood about KetoCitra?
Yeah, so clarify, KetoCitra is actually not labeled as a supplement, but what's called a medical food. So that's a bit different. Both supplements and medical foods are regulated by the FDA, the United States Food and Drug Administration, but they are regulated in different ways. Medical foods are maybe a little bit more strictly regulated and manufactured and so on. And there are certain rules about it. I definitely can't blame doctors to tell patients to stay away from supplements because the supplement market is not necessarily very scientific. There's lots and lots and lots of supplements out there. Who knows what's in there? There are kind of some herbal extracts of this and that where you have absolutely no idea what goes in it and what it might do. There's usually no research associated with it or very little. So we're trying to be just the opposite. The way we put KetoCitra together is all based on the research from my lab. We make sure there's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there. For example, it's sodium free and so on, which most similar products are not. We make sure there are no fillers, nothing that could harm kidneys. And maybe most importantly, we're all committed to the clinical research, running clinical trials and so on to look at long-term outcomes so that we can say with confidence what's going on and have the documentation, the scientific proof, if you will. Yeah, so that's maybe the difference there.
It's a huge difference. Often participants in the Ren-Nu program or those taking KetoCitra wonder and ask if they can actually replicate KetoCitra by combining multiple different supplements and making it work for them. And because of all of what you just said, the fillers, the sodium, the lack of clinical research with these random other supplements, they're not getting the medical food product that KetoCitra offers. And so I talked about it's so important to make sure that you are being backed by something with clinical research for sure. I think one thing about KetoCitra we didn't mention is that another reason it's super complementary to a ketogenic lifestyle is, especially when you're starting out in a ketosis plan, your body experiences that large flushing of electrolytes and sodium fluid, which can lead to the keto flu, which nobody wants. The cool thing to know about the keto flu is that it's actually 100% preventable. So having a product like a medical food like KetoCitra on board, making sure that your electrolytes are replenished, really, really lowers the chance of experiencing or having to go through anything like the keto flu. So that's another thing about KetoCitra that we encourage our patients to have on board before they actually start the journey. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the science of KetoCitra. In general, people ask, is KetoCitra safe? When should I not take KetoCitra? Or is there a time or a person who wouldn't be appropriate for KetoCitra use?
Yeah, so currently KetoCitra is recommended for mild to moderate stages of chronic kidney disease. So that's called stage 1, 2, or 3. Really, the reason is that somebody with very advanced stage disease, oftentimes their kidneys cannot handle electrolytes very well, those minerals, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and so on. However, a lot of people with more advanced stage disease have been taking KetoCitra with their doctor's support. So I think with tight monitoring, that might still be a choice. And not everybody with more advanced chronic kidney disease, for example, has a potassium problem. So that's, again, very individual. The only occasional problems that have come up with people taking KetoCitra is maybe the most common one is if somebody has low stomach acid to begin with, the KetoCitra might worsen the gastrointestinal upset sometimes. And we found a good remedy there is to just mix a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar into the KetoCitra. It sounds disgusting, but it actually tastes a whole lot less disgusting than it sounds. I've tried it a bunch of times, and that usually takes care of the problem. So if somebody has some gastrointestinal upset, I would definitely try that. And, very rarely I've heard from food allergies, for example. I know one person who is allergic to the sweetener, the stevia that's in there, which is a natural sweetener. That can always happen with any food, of course. Usually we recommend when somebody starts for the first time on KetoCitra, start with half the dose first and make sure everything is tolerated well before increasing to the full dose.
That's exactly what we tell people. And I will say this from experience with the Ren-Nu participants, there are less than I can count people that if they start out as directed and increase along the way and slowly, that have long-lasting GI effects, even without the apple cider vinegar. So it's very, very well tolerated. And yeah, as far as the potassium and mineral concentration of KetoCitra, I think that's another reason for people, like we talked about earlier, to really know their labs before they start taking anything. But like you said, it's indicated in stages 1 through 3, but there's a lot of people in 4 and 5 that are still appropriate because their labs just haven't moved like the textbook says that they should move. So which kind of brings me to the next question about KetoCitra. Are there nephrologists that actually recommend it? And if they don't, why not?
Yeah, so there's definitely, a good number of nephrologists that recommend it to their patients, work with their patients. We communicate with them. And, if anyone out there is interested to learn more, by all means, just let us know and can send information, samples and things like that. But I think most nephrologists probably have either never heard of it or are naturally suspicious of anything that's not an FDA-approved drug, and that's understandable as well. I think it's good to realize as a doctor that for foods, and KetoCitra is a food, as a medical food, of course, there is no FDA approval, right? So there is not even a mechanism for it. We couldn't even go to the FDA and say, please approve KetoCitra, because that's not a thing. Of course, doctors can work with foods with any patient. They don't need to be told by the FDA what to do. They're doctors in their own right and they can make their own decisions. But oftentimes it's just, a little bit of fear of the unknown. And that's why we're spreading the word. We're doing the clinical studies, publish papers about it in the clinical literature and so on, so that hopefully more people will know about it.
That's important. I also think it's important for patients who are using KetoCitra to be honest with their doctor. Let them know, share that information, share your progress, because that's the fastest way information is going to be spread, I think. So I know we encourage patients to definitely share what they're doing. Santa Barbara Nutrients offers a ton of information that you can print out and share with your physician so that they can read in their so-called spare time. You brought up something about the KetoCitra. A lot of questions we get, and I know the answer to this, but our viewers may not. Is KetoCitra being used in the upcoming human clinical trials?
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's the whole point. So we have over a dozen clinical studies in the pipeline. They're all use KetoCitra in one way or another, usually in conjunction with dietary interventions. And really the reason there is, as a medical food, you don't want to go one step forward, have any benefits from KetoCitra, but then take 2 steps backwards by eating just a horrible diet. So I think no matter what's in KetoCitra and how good it is, you can never really overcome terrible diet. So I think it's very important to clean up the diet in addition to taking KetoCitra so that you get the full benefit. Of course, if somebody wants to have their pizza and potato chips diet all day long, they'd rather die than giving it up. All right, I would say, okay, still take KetoCitra on top of it, but please, consider cutting down on those potato chips every once in a while and think about some other nutritions as well.
That brings up an important point, not necessarily, well, kind of related, I guess, is that if you're doing a program like the Ren-Nu program, you are given a ton of different tools, a ton of different avenues or opportunities, I call them, that are important for PKD kidney health, right? KetoCitra being one of them, plant-focused ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, oxalate management. And sometimes it's very realistic to think that you aren't layering every single one of these tools 365 days a year, 24/7. But then this is a really good example. During the holidays or during times of vacation, people are able to choose, you know what? I'm going to immerse myself into the holidays, experience family, but guess what? I'm still going to take my KetoCitra. So you bring up a really, really good point that for PKD patients, there's always something that they can do. And something is so much better than doing nothing. As I tell people, you know how to get back into ketosis. You can do that when this is over, if that's what you choose. But do something, always be doing something. I think that's the important part. So I take a lot of calls with my position from PKD patients all over the world. And, unfortunately, sometimes I hear that they don't think KetoCitra is able to be shipped for them. Can you talk a little bit about how far KetoCitra reaches and its availability around the world, not just in the United States, Canada?
Well, for personal use, I think anyone pretty much in the entire world can order it, just through the website, and it gets shipped everywhere. In some countries, it's a little more tricky than others. It might take longer, and, the customs might extra charges sometimes. But by and large, I think in most countries, that doesn't seem to be a problem. So I would just say, give it a try wherever you are. It might take a while. All right. So Kelly, you're a renal dietitian. You run the Ren-Nu program. How can people that are interested in working with you or being part of the Ren-Nu program, how can they find you? Where can they find more information?
So Ren-Nu has its own website, which you can find more information there. Sign up for the next program or sign up for a free call to talk with me to decide if the Ren-Nu program is right for you, if you have further different questions, things like that. Also find us on our PKD Nutrition with Ren-Nu and Santa Barbara Nutrients on Facebook page. You can see me and some other Ren-Nu dietitians as well as Dr. Weimbs on that page and contributing. It's a great tool for education. All right. And Thomas, it is always lovely to talk with you, pick your brain. I know that I speak for all the PKD patients out there that we appreciate so very much the research that you do. Where can people find you? Where can people find your research?
I mean, one popular way of staying up to date with our research and everything that's going on is to join my lab's Facebook group. Just type in Weimbs Lab, search for that. Anyone is welcome to join. You can also head over to the Santa Barbara Nutrients website. There's a lot of resources and information there. I highly recommend the Santa Barbara Nutrients YouTube channel, where there's a lot of content there as well.